Let me ask y'all something honestly. When was the last time you sat inside your actual life? Not your goals, not your plans, not the vision board. Just the life you are living right now and felt genuinely at peace with it. Maybe it's the life that looks impressive from the outside, but from where you're standing, you feel like you're always running towards something instead of actually living in something. Or maybe you can't even name what's missing. You just know something is missing. Today, we're going to name it together.
Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom Together. I am Weslia.
And I'm Willa. Welcome to the place where faith driven women stop letting money be the missing piece and start becoming who they were always called to be. We're here to help you manage money confidently, live your life purposefully, and build wealth intentionally. Because the fulfillment God purposed for you and for your life is already waiting.
And today we open a 3-part series on one of the most misunderstood ideas in the faith and finances space: contentment.
Ooh,
What it really is, what it is
yeah.
not, and why it is the foundation everything else is built on.
So stay with us.
Before we dive in, if today's conversation is already stirring something, I want to point you to the free resource we created for exactly this moment. It's called Your First Step to Financial Fulfillment, a free 7-lesson mini course designed to help you get clear, calm, and confident about your finances. Inside, you'll discover your steward identity, the spiritual foundation that anchors every financial decision you'll ever make. That is the perfect place to start a series on contentment. So head to mytfcoach.com/fulfillment starts here and begin your first step free.
Oh, and if you're brand new, we are especially glad you found us today. You picked a good one to start with. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell. Listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow the show so you don't miss a single episode of this series. Trust me, you want to hear all 3 of them.
Yep, you do. So you know what? Well, we got so excited that we actually forgot
What?
to celebrate the 5th season and the 5th anniversary of Wealth and Wisdom
Yes,
Together. We have been
that's right. April.
creating this. We created this podcast 5
Yep.
years ago.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it has been a joy, and it's so sweet. We started off with a different name. We started off with the Abundant Living Podcast.
Abundant
We
Living Podcast.
changed the
That's
name
right.
to
Yeah.
represent more of who we are and
Yeah. What God
how
was
we
doing.
serve and what God would want us to do.
Yeah.
And then we were weekly, but then we realized that, you know what? As the ebb and flow of our business and life, bi-weekly was better. You can sit with the episode, work on the things that we are coaching you through, because we coach you right through on this
Yes.
episode. So, you know,
That's
if
right.
you have not signed up to be one of our clients at Trinity Financial Coaching, we are coaching you right in these episodes. And so when you get
Yeah.
stuck, if there's some place where you can't go, then obviously you can reach out to us and we can work with you one-on-one. But now we have a cadence, a rhythm. So you're going to get bi-weekly episodes from April to November. And then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back every year celebrating our anniversary in April, and we'll start from there. So happy anniversary, Willa.
Happy anniversary.
And we're so excited to be here. And so we're now, let's set this up. So
All right. Okay. Okay. Celebrating. Celebrate all things. Everybody.
yes.
Oh, yeah. This first episode is about the foundation. Think of your financial life think of it like a puzzle. When the pieces are scattered, the income, the spending, the goals, the faith, those are the pieces. It's not a discipline problem. It's a picture problem. You need the borders in place before the inside can come together. And the first border, the one everything else is built on, is alignment. That is what today is all about.
So here's what we're not doing today. We are not telling you to lower your expectations or want less. We are going to show you how to build more from a foundation that actually holds. Now, if we had to summarize the culture we're living in with one single word, I would say that it would be more.
Just more, like more stuff, more experiences, more income,
Mm-hmm.
more followers,
Mm-hmm.
more square footage, more of everything that signals you've arrived.
You got it.
Yep, more, just more. And here's what's true about that message. It doesn't always come out at you loud.
Oh.
Sometimes it's quiet. It creeps in through comparison. You see a colleague's promotion and suddenly you feel smaller. Your career does. You scroll past someone's kitchen renovation and suddenly your home feels dated. Oh boy. Nobody said anything directly to you, but those feelings, they land all the same.
It's so true. And there are entire industries, like billions of dollars built around keeping you in a state of wanting because a content person is not a consuming person.
We need to sit with that for a second because that is the game. And most of us don't even know we're playing it.
Right. And think about what that means practically. If you are genuinely at peace with your life, you are not out here buying things to fill a gap. You are not chasing experiences, trying to feel better about yourself. Now, hear what I said. There's nothing wrong with the things. There's nothing wrong with the experiences. But you're not using the things to fill a gap, and you're not chasing the experiences, trying to feel better about yourself. But that's bad for business, which means discontentment is actively promoted. And it's not an accident. It's a strategy.
Wow. And there's no shame in having bought into it. We are swimming in it.
Yes, we are.
All of us. The first move is just seeing it just for what it is. And sometimes it doesn't look like shopping or scrolling. Sometimes it looks like ambition, like hustle, like building.
I'm so glad you said that, because I want to give you an example of like what this costs. So I was talking with a woman not long ago, corporate job, lucrative career, genuinely doing well, smart, driven. She spent several $1,000s taking course after course, positioning herself so that she can launch these various business. She had ideas, real estate. It was some other things that she also wanted to do, right? And when we sat down together, she was frustrated, stretched thin, and then carrying debt with low return on investment and still not have enough capital to actually get any of the ventures moving. And the carrying debt part is because, she charged the fees for these various courses that was going to help her launch these various business ideas.
Wow, that sounds difficult. And it's such a specific kind of exhaustion. It's like when you've been doing everything right and it still doesn't work.
Exactly.
It's not working.
Exactly. And as we talked, something became clear. She had bought into one of the most popular and I'll say most damaging, in my opinion, myths in the personal finance space. That you need 7 streams of income to be financially successful. You've all heard this. It is everywhere. Here's what that myth leaves out. For most self-made, wealthy individuals, multiple income streams are the result of long-term wealth building, not a starting strategy.
Mm-hmm.
They maximize one primary income source first, then they diversify. So trying to launch all these 3, 4, 5, 7 streams of income at once, and it doesn't multiply your success. It dilutes your focus. It drains your capital, and it accelerates burnout. And you have to remember what they're speaking to. So they're speaking to us from a point of lack when they're telling you this, and from a point of scarcity and fear, because they're like, you can always count on that corporate job, so you have to have all these other streams of income, passive income coming in. And again, it's not that isn't true. But
I've heard that though.
But what it is that we aren't positioned yet to diversify. We haven't fully maximized the primary source of income that we have. And when we trace it back, that debt, the frustration, the stretched thin feeling, it wasn't a discipline problem. It was a discontentment problem. The myth had told her, oh, I just hit my microphone. The myth told her what she had wasn't enough, and that where she wasn't enough. So she kept reaching for more, faster, wider, bigger, instead of going deeper on what was already working. And that didn't come out until I asked her, I said, I sense there's some discontentment that you have. And where is the root of that discontentment? Where is that coming from?
It's good that you ask her that, because that's the cost nobody talks about. It's not just the money. It's the peace, the clarity, the ability to actually see what God has already placed in your hands, because you're too busy chasing the culture. You're actually too busy chasing what the culture told you to want next, not what you necessarily want. And underneath it all, there's this voice saying, I'm smarter than this.
Yes.
Why can't I just get ahead? I know I can do it.
Well, you know what? You can't build well when you're anxious, reactive, and always feeling like you're behind. Now, I need you to sit in that, because that is not a character flaw.
Yeah.
It is the predictable outcome of believing a myth in this instance.
And that's where so many of you have been, chasing the wrong thing without even knowing it, working so hard to feel happy, but to feel successful, to feel like enough, without realizing that what you're really longing for goes much deeper than any of those things.
Which is exactly why we have to understand what contentment actually is, because most of us have never been taught. Happiness and contentment are not the same thing. Happiness is a response to an experience. Something wonderful happens, you feel happy. And then the moment passes and the feeling goes with it. That is not contentment.
It's temporary by nature. It happens, you feel good, goes away.
Yep, exactly. Contentment is a state of mind, a lasting, deeper place of peace and gratitude that is not tied to your circumstances. You can be in the middle of a challenging situation, financially, personally, relationally, and still carry contentment. It does not rise and fall with your situation. It is anchored.
Yes, that feels good. And for us, that anchor is God. That is what makes this a faith conversation, not just a mindset conversation. It's the peace that passes all understanding, not something you manufacture on your own, something you cultivate in your relationship with Him. That's what it is. And that changes everything about who is responsible for your sense of enough. Remember, not what culture said you should want next, but what He says is for you next.
And that's exactly why we need to talk about the one thing that keeps you from even trying to get there. There's a fear standing in the way, and it has a name.
Oh, I want to start here.
Okay.
This is the most common block I see in high achieving women when it comes to this topic. There is a fear, and it sounds something like this. If I'm content with where I am, does that mean I stop pushing? Or Does that mean I accept a life that's less than what I'm capable of? And it could sound like, does contentment mean I give up on my goals? Listen, I want you to know that fear makes sense. It makes complete sense given everything you've been told about ambition and success. It makes sense.
And hustle culture has been feeding that fear for years. Hence,
Hmm.
telling people before they're ready that they need to have 7 streams of income,
Yeah.
right? It tells you that you can either be driven or you can be at peace, but you cannot be both. But here's the truth, and I'm going to say it plainly. That's a lie. Complacency and contentment are not the same thing. They're not even
Yeah.
close. And so the
That's
questions that fear, those questions that you're asking that Willa just lifted up, that is the fear of complacency.
hmm
And complacency is settling. It is the choice to stop growing, stop stewarding, stop showing up for what God has placed in your hands. Complacency says, this is fine. I'll just stay here. No forward motion, no accountability, no desire to grow.
None. None at all. And contentment says something completely different. Contentment says, I am at peace with where I am right now, and I'm still moving forward. It's not a stop sign, it's solid ground. It's the stable place that you build from. And I want you to really receive that distinction because it changes everything about how you pursue your goals.
Think about the woman that I just talked about, the one stretched across all these business ideas with debt and drained focus. The path forward for her isn't more hustle. It's not another course. It's clarity, which only comes when the striving quiets long enough for her to see what's actually in her hands.
Right. She couldn't see what was already working because the noise in her head was so loud.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
That's exactly it. A lifestyle built on comparison rather than conviction will drain you every time. But when you know who you are and you are genuinely at peace with where you are, you start making financial decisions from that place of clarity. And that shifts everything about how you earn, how you spend, and how you build.
Like, I really want you to receive this today. You can be deeply, genuinely content and still want more for your life. You can be at peace with today and still be actively building toward tomorrow. Contentment doesn't shrink your vision, it's stabilizing it. And that is available to you, not someday, not when you finally get there, but it's available to you right now in this season, right now.
Yes. The woman who builds from contentment is not the woman who stopped caring. She
Mhm.
is the woman who stopped being controlled by the gap. And before we move on, I want to name the single most important idea in this entire series. Now, most people assume contentment is a gift, something you're either wired with or you're not. And that assumption is another thing or another reason why you're stuck. And scripture dismantles it completely.
It certainly does. When we look at Philippians 4 and 12, Paul says, I have learned in whatever state I am, therewith to be content. I want you to hear that word, learned, not
Mm-hmm.
born with, not gifted, not
Mm-hmm.
reserved for the spiritual elite.
Right.
He learned it. And this is a man who was shipwrecked, imprisoned, beaten. He experienced seasons of abundance and seasons of
He said
genuine
it.
lack.
He
And
said it.
through it all, he learned contentment. It can be learned.
If it wasn't automatic for Paul, it doesn't have to be automatic for you.
Yeah.
It is not a personality type. It is not a spiritual gift. Some people have and others don't, like I mentioned earlier. It is a practice, and every single one of us can learn it, including the woman who's been striving her whole life and doesn't know how to stop.
Mm.
Is that you?
Mm.
Including the woman who looks at her life and still can't shake the feeling that something is missing. Is that you? It's available to you. Full stop.
Mm. And I want to acknowledge something for women like you who are high achieving, driven, always building. Know that the ideal of learning to be at peace, to stop striving, can feel almost threatening.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you slow down, something's going to fall apart. I just want you to know that
Yeah.
feeling, it is real, but it doesn't mean contentment isn't for you. It means you've been running so long
Mm.
that stillness feels dangerous. And that is exactly where the practice begins.
That's good, Willa. So here's your first step. Become
Mm.
aware of the forces working against contentment in your life. We talked about consumer culture and comparison from the outside. We talked about the seven streams myth dressed up as wisdom. But there's also an internal voice. The stories you tell yourself about where you should be by now, what you
Mm.
should have, what your life should look like at this point. And here's what every should is actually costing you. It's a small act of rejection toward the life you are actually living. One of
Mm.
our business coaches told us to stop shooting on ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we had to receive that too.
Yes, our business should be here. We should be there.
The practice starts with noticing
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledging. Just noticing without judgment. When am I measuring my life against the standard someone else set?
Mm.
Mm. When is my striving coming from a place of lack rather than a place of purpose?
Mm.
Ah,
And when
this
you
takes me back to that moment when we heard that. Okay, all right.
and when you find it, don't perform a correction. Bring
Mm,
it to God.
yeah. Not as a confession that you failed,
Yeah.
but as an invitation to realignment, to ask God, what do you see when you look at my life right now? What have you placed in my hands that I'm not fully seeing? Because real, genuine gratitude, that kind that comes from truly seeing what God has given you, that's where contentment takes root. In that place.
In episode 144, I know we're in 142, but
Mm.
2 episodes from this one is where we're going to get into that daily practice, the values work, the perspective shifts, and the release of guilt and shame that turn contentment from a concept into the way you actually live. But here's what you're walking away with today. Contentment is not something you fall into. Oops, I just fell into it. It's
Mhm.
something you lean into intentionally, repeatedly, over time. And you are absolutely capable of this.
Yes. And I want you to hold on to something. Now, Jesus said he came so that we could have life and have it in abundance. Not a life we're always running toward, a life we're actually living inside. Contentment is not the obstacle to that abundant life, it's the access point.
Mm,
That's where we start.
mm. And you know what's great about that? You don't have to figure it out alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it perfect. And that's exactly what this series is for.
For those who have been following us for a while, you know we always have wisdom from the word. It's just
It's sprinkled
that's just who we
in.
are. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
sprinkled. It's always sprinkled in, but then we
Oh
always
yeah,
have to give it its own special place.
yeah, yeah. So I want to sit in scripture for just a moment. Now, I want to talk about 3 passages that
Oh, you gonna
together.
sneaker preach today? Okay.
Hey, well, I learned that from. Oh, no, I won't say the name. And together, these passages form the heartbeat of this entire 3-part series. And we talked about Philippians. So Philippians 4:12, Paul says, "I have learned to be content." That word again, learned. But read the whole passage, and you'll see that contentment is right inside a conversation about peace, about not being anxious, about bringing everything to God with prayer and thanksgiving, and then not as a reward, but as a result. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. Contentment grows in that kind of soil. In surrender, it grows in trust.
That's the part that I don't want us to rush past.
Yeah.
Contentment is not the absence of desire. It's the presence of peace in the middle of it. And I love what you said, that it is not the reward, it is the
It's a result.
result.
Mhm.
The result of that surrender and trust, and knowing that God will do exceeding abundantly above all you ask or think. And some versions say exceedingly abundantly. That means it exceeds abundance beyond
Yeah.
all that you can ask or think. Eyes have not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man the things that God has prepared. So me hitting my microphone made me forget the verse. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that part. That's why I just didn't want to rush past it. I just wanted you all to
Oh,
get that.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
not the reward, it is the results, and it is the presence of peace in the middle of it.
Right in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go on to another passage, 1 Timothy 6:6. It tells us that godliness with contentment is great gain. Not just godliness, not just contentment, but the two together. A life surrendered to God and a heart at peace with what He's provided. That is what is great gain. The world defines great gain as a what? Bigger income,
More.
portfolio, bigger
More.
one, bigger followings,
More.
more. But God says, nope. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Godliness with contentment is great gain. A surrendered life to Him and a heart of peace. That's great gain.
Write that one down. Write that one down, because that is the countercultural declaration of this entire series.
Mhm.
Godliness with contentment is great gain.
Yeah. And it connects directly to where we land, which is Psalm 37:4-5. It says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will act." Hear this through the lens of contentment, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
When you delight yourself in God, well, I don't know how to say this, not in outcomes, not in accomplishments, but in Him, something shifts. Your desires begin to align with His desires. And what you've been chasing so hard starts to feel less urgent. Because you are now anchored to the one who holds it all. That's contentment. And it is available to you right now, right where you are.
The less urgent is what hit me.
Yeah.
What you've been chasing so hard feels less urgent, because you begin to know that it will come to you in its ordained time, because you're
Yes.
walking within His will and you're aligned with His desires that He has for your life. And it's that urgency that causes us to step out of His will and do all these other things in our own strength, rather than doing the next obedient thing that God has told us to do.
And think about what you're saying, the less urgent. Think about what that's doing to trust and faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
It's coming. We're just
You
going
don't
to.
have to chase it.
That's it. That's
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
So as we close, these are 3 things that you are taking with you today.
Yeah. First, contentment is not happiness. It's not a feeling that rises and falls with your circumstances. It's a lasting state of mind, a deep peace with who you are, where you are, and what you have. And I want you to know that peace is available to you today. Not when you reach the next milestone, but right now, today.
Anchored. Yes. Not earned.
Oh, yeah.
Second, contentment is not complacency. Those are not the same thing, and they never will be. You can be at peace and still be actively building. The most intentional, grounded wealth building happens from a place of contentment, not from anxiety, comparison, or striving. So remember that.
And that matters really so much because the goal was never to build less, it was always to build better.
Mm-hmm.
And third, contentment is learned. Paul said it. We believe it, which means you are not too far gone, not too driven, not too stuck. This is available to you, and we are going to learn it together. You came into this episode with a feeling you maybe couldn't name, like you were always running towards something, never quite living inside. I want you to leave today knowing that feeling has a name. It's the gap between where you are and where contentment could anchor you. And that gap is closable.
But here is what's shifting for you today. And I want you to name it. You came into this episode as a woman spending energy, time, and money trying to fill a gap. You are leaving as a woman who is ready to be a good steward of what God has already placed in her hands. That is not a small thing. So, coming up in episode 143, we go deeper. We are. Because the biggest threat to your contentment isn't out there. I know we talked about it today, but it isn't out there. It's what's on the inside. The spirit of discontentment is a liar, and we're going to expose exactly how it operates and how you fight back from a place of wholeness. And then in episode 144, we bring it all the way home, the daily practices, the values work, the release of guilt and shame that turns contentment into the way you actually live. We're going to be like Paul, y'all. We're going to learn it. We're learning to be content. You do not want to miss either one of those episodes. So subscribe right now if you haven't already.
So if today's episode opens something up in you, if you're sensing that the financial restlessness you've been feeling runs deeper than budgets and spreadsheets, I want you to start here.
Your first step to financial fulfillment is a free 7-lesson, 14-day mini course built to help you get clear, get calm, and get confident from a faith-anchored foundation. Inside, you will discover your steward identity, and that is exactly where contentment begins. When you know who you are as a steward and whose you are, the striving starts to settle. So go to mytfcoach.com/fulfillment starts here. That is your next move, and you'll find a link in our show notes.
Now be encouraged. You're not behind. You're not broken. You just need a clear picture. And this is where that picture begins.
So as always, our end goal for you is to activate the power of your steward identity, put every border in place, and complete the picture of financial fulfillment that was designed just for you. Trusting God, trusting yourself, and trusting the process. So bye for now and continue to tap into wealth and wisdom together.
Bye-bye.